Welcome back to Readability. If you didn't know already, this is a kid podcast that's all about reading. Don't know a good book to read? Visit Readability and I'll help you out. Every Saturday, I'll either read, review, or recommend different books just for you. Lay back and listen to this week's episode. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Readability. This week, I want to do a review of the second Gilded Wolves book, the sequel, The Silvered Serpents by Roshani Chokshi. If you are unaware, this series has become my favorite series of all time. Well, one of my favorite series of all time. I devoured both the Gilded Wolves and the Silvered Serpents in 4 days total, so I think that alone is a clear sign that I really enjoyed these books. If you don't have a clue what this series is about, I recommend listening to episode 52, The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chokshi, and in that I'll clear some things up. I hope I'll introduce the characters, the plot, because I'm just going straight into this one. In the second installment of The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chokshi, of course, we learn that there is a special item called the Divine Lyrics, a lost book that has the secrets for rejoining the world's Babel fragments, and Severin is desperate to find it for reasons of his own. However, so does Layla. I won't go to specifics just in case of spoilers because I forget how early on it's revealed why they both want the Divine Lyrics. Once the location of the lyrics has been found, the Sleeping Palace, we are taken on a journey of discovering what this book could possibly hold. For our protagonist, we meet new characters, more villains, and a lot of conflict and adventures. The author is Roshani Chokshi. The book is 406 pages long. The publishing brand is Wednesday Books, and this is the second book to the Gilded Wolves Trilogy, the last book being The Bronze Beast, which is not released yet. So if you're thinking about reading this series, be aware that the last book has not been released. Obviously, if I had to rate this book, it would be a 5 out of 5 stars. The sequel was so well done. The characters became so much more real to me. The plot was really, really interesting, and I love the setting. And there was barely a dull moment in this book, in my opinion, and I devoured it so fast. So amazing. Chef's kiss. Overall, I was not disappointed with the continuation of this series. I've heard from other people that this novel, in their opinion, was just as good or even better than the Gilded Wolves, and I can agree with that, though I still kind of like the Gilded Wolves a little bit better, but I still really like this book. In this book, we travel to Russia, to this, if I can remember correctly, ice-like palace? I know it's a palace, but wasn't it like ice-like? Don't quote me on that. Some relationships change dramatically and not. I enjoy the development with Zofia and Enrique's relationship as well as Severin and Layla's. Spoiler for the Gilded Wolves, but spoilers. After Tristan's death at the end of the first book, we're already at a rocky, road and shift in Severin and Layla's relationship. We also meet some new characters as well, which I don't want to talk much about, because spoilers. We meet the patriarch of House Dasbog, Ruslan, and his, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and his cousin Ava. Eva. No context on them for right now. I was shocked with one of the plot twists, but actually, in a different plot twist, I caught the villain before it was revealed who it was. Not to toot my own horn, but I gotta say, it was a pretty good catch. I say that, yeah, a lot of people saw it coming. Anyways, yes, I did adore this novel. Character thoughts. I think for the main 5 now, I'm going to go briefly over how they developed in the book. So here we go. First, let's start off with Severin. There were definitely some moments in the book where I really didn't like him, especially when it came to him and Layla. But, I mean, he did occasionally do some things that kind of redeemed himself. I don't know, he isn't my favorite of the 5. There was nothing too exciting about him for me, unfortunately. He isn't my favorite. Layla, however, was definitely more interesting. Despite really struggling with the fact that she's going to die in less than a month, she still keeps strong and keeps everyone in check, I would say. There's this one scene with Enrique, Zofia, and Layla that made me feel so bad for her, and I love their friendship so much. This trio, chef's kiss. I believe she gets hurt, and the other two are caring for her, making sure she's okay, bandaging her, and she says this in, like, her internal monologue. It was such a small thing to be fussed over, to be the one treated tenderly. When she last cut herself, she merely stood in the rain, her hand throbbing as she let the water rush over her palms until there was no trace of someone else's blood on her skin. Like, poor Layla. She deserves so much better. Let's do Zofia next. Zofia, I think, goes through a lot of development in this book. In the beginning of the series, she's a very shy and anxious girl, but she grows very maturely into someone who, A, cares a lot about her friends and even people she didn't trust at first, Enrique, and B, a more self-confident person who is sure of all her capabilities. She feels safer with the people around her, especially Enrique. Sorry. But anyways, still one of the most interesting and intriguing characters in this book. I'm just saying, her friendship still with Layla is so amazing. I'm also scared and nervous to see what happens with her sister, as she's currently super sick. I'm hoping nothing bad happens to her. No spoilers, but I'm not gonna say anything. Hypnos. Right. So listen, I wrote the character thoughts after the standout segment, the one with, like, the spoilers, and I didn't realize I didn't add much about him. I actually didn't add anything about him. So, he still served the same purpose in this book as in the first, that kind of role. I don't know how to put it. I still love his character. His lines are amazing, and he's genuinely such a really good person to everyone. That last line he said, Sevron says to Hypnos before the book ends, gets me every time. I was tearing up. Though I don't talk about him at all, I still really like his character. Something in the book happens that, yes, broke my heart, but also kind of made me really happy. Sorry. Some drama went down between Hypnos and another character, and I do feel really bad for him, but, like, anyways, Enrique. Yes, I still love Enrique, as everybody does. At the beginning of the book, we are told that he has this really important meeting with a group of people, and it turns out that they, potential spoilers, didn't end up coming, and bam, I'm back to feeling really bad for Enrique. Yay! He's always struggled with people not hearing him and his ideas and not having a voice, and he definitely really suffers with that in this book and in this series and in his life. But being loyal to Sevron and his crew, he puts his best effort to help them find the divine lyrics. Like, we love you, Enrique. Chef's kiss. This book is just a chef's kiss. Anyways, really quickly, Ava and Ruslan. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. Ruslan? I just said I say Ruslan, but okay. Anyways, I'm not gonna lie. I hated both of them when we first met them. Okay, maybe that's a little bit hyperbolic. I didn't mind Ruslan, but I got like vibes. Like, I didn't really like him. I didn't love him. Ava, I did not like her at all. She's the definition of steal yo girl, but, like, steal yo man. I will say that the drama and bickering between Layla and Ava was really fun to watch or read, but maybe that's just because I like chaos. I'm just saying. Whenever I was reading things Ava said to Layla, in my head, I was just like, the audacity. Like, oh my gosh. To be fair, my perspective did change for her as the novel progresses, but that's all I'm gonna say. And I totally forgot to mention the matriarch of House Nyx? Wait, no, that's Hypnos. I think it was House Core. Delphine. That's her name. I really enjoyed watching her hate-love relationship with Sevron. Like, honestly, it felt really conflicting if I was on her side or his. To be fair, she was, like, this motherly figure to him when he was little, but then she just, like, abandoned him and left him in the dust. But for what reason? Maybe she was trying to protect him. I don't know. And yes, the ending. The ending got me. Trust me. Okay, let's go through some of these standout scenes. So, spoilers ahead. First, let me just get out all of my favorite Zofia and Enrique scenes because there are a good amount, but I'll only mention like a few. overall, Enrique's support and trust in Zofia and vice versa is just, I love it so much. Especially when they're like running from that man with Ava. That was a great scene. Anyways, there are a lot of comparisons or parallels, that's the word, between these two. For example, in Enrique's perspective on one page, it says, he was so tired of no one listening or bothering to listen. Then later in the book, there is another quote that parallels it. What I was listening to, Zofia said. Enrique merely stared at her. She'd listen. Yes, they are soulmates. There's another scene that was like one of my favorites where Enrique got cookies for Zofia, and he was saying how he asked them to scrape off the texture or like the sprinkles because she doesn't like it, and it's just so wholesome, and it's just an adorable interaction between the two that I just can't get enough of. I am so excited to see what happens between them in the next book. I'm just getting so excited thinking about it. Also, the reveal of Ruslan, our patriarch at House Dazbog, being the villain did not surprise me. However, I was not expecting him to be the actual patriarch of the fallen house. I'll give Roshani Chokshi that. I wasn't expecting that. However, despite him being the bad guy in this situation, I think there's a possibility of his cousin, Ava, having some sort of redemption arc because I didn't really like her at the beginning. But then slowly, I started to kind of like her. Like, for example, that when that stabbing part happens, she seems to have a lot of sympathy and even asks Severon, why didn't you care about them after they leave? And she's like low-key kind of worried. I think she genuinely cares about this crew in a way. Maybe like she doesn't realize it. I don't know. Just think about it. Speaking of the stabbing part, when Severon approaches both Enrique and Zofia and straight up stabs them both in the heart or the chest, I was initially so shocked. I slightly like closed the book to process what just happened. When he was walking up and we were in Enrique's perspective and he was watching Zofia get stabbed, I was like, oh my god, did that just happen? But slowly I started to think, and then Severon came and stabbed Enrique in the chest. So anyways, as it continues on, I'm thinking, okay, wait, Severon wouldn't do that to his own friends. Like, he's really close with at least Enrique, but he also really, really likes Zofia. So why would he do that? He's so much better than that. Right then, it gets revealed that this forged item imitates the look of someone being stabbed, and they're gonna wake up in a couple of hours. Created by Tristan, I'm pretty sure. So thank you, Tristan. Which is fun. He also had some sort of like packet, kind of like a ketchup packet, but I think it was something else, something more liquidy that he would sort of pop open to look like blood. So at least we know they're not dead, because if they were, I would have cried a lot. Also, finally, can we just talk about that scene with Zofia? Yes, I know. These are all about Zofia and Enrique. I'm sorry. Was running down, like, the hallway with an ice stag and a flaming sword. Like, go off, Zofia. Thinking about it now, that combination with, like, an ice animal that she's, like, riding and a flaming sword, that doesn't sound the best combination, but hey, she still looks really cool in my mind doing it. And that's a wrap for this week's episode of Readability. I love doing these kinds of reviews for like some of my favorite books because it just makes me so happy writing about it and talking about it. Oh, I love it. And I love this book so much, and I can't wait for the Bronze Beast to come out. It's coming out in September, around like 50 days from now. So, yay! I'm so excited. But anyways, I hope you enjoy this week's episode and have a great day and keep reading, folks. Bye-bye.